Sean Malone here on the UNH stable. I'm now joined by David Lloyd of ESPN. David, how are you?
I'm good, Sean. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, thank you. Now, biggest storyline in the NBA right now is probably the Miami Heat and their monstrous winning streak they have going on right now. When will their winning streak end, in your opinion, David? How long can this win streak keep going?
You know, the way they're playing, and they're getting great games from everyone on that roster right now. I mean, even when LeBron has a little bit of an off night or Dwayne Wade has a little bit of an off night, they go to other guys and get big performances and manage to win the game. So they got the Sixers tonight, a team that's like 15 games under 500. You would think they would, you know, a lot of times, Sean, these winning streaks trip up on games you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, those trap games.
Exactly. So you would think they'd be able to handle the Sixers tonight, but I mean, it's tricky, and you look down their schedule from here on out, and, you know, I guess you got the Celtics in Boston on Monday night. That's potentially a tough game. I mean, this is a 5-game road trip they're on right now, so things can happen. They got a game against Cleveland, which is always interesting when LeBron goes back there. But, I mean, you look down at Toronto, Cleveland, Detroit, Charlotte, Orlando. I mean, there's not
a huge amount of strong teams on the remaining schedule for them. I mean, after Philly, it goes Milwaukee, Toronto. Boston has been playing better without Rondo for some reason. We'll get into that a little later. Cleveland, Detroit, Charlotte, Orlando, and then Chicago, finally, in a quote-unquote elite team they'd be facing.
Yeah, I mean, you look down their schedule, there's not much there. So San Antonio's a team that may not have Tony Parker back by then. So, you know, they could, I mean, 33 is within their realm. I mean, it could happen.
That would just be unbelievable to see them reach that mark. Let's talk about the Western Conference now. The Lakers are a half game inside the playoffs now at the 8th spot.
Here they come.
Do you think they make it into the playoffs?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Jazz, that team is stumbling. The Lakers have won 9 of 11. They seem to be figuring it out. I mean, it's the team that we sort of thought we'd be getting back in November, you know, and they only get better, Sean, from here on out, right? I mean, they're starting to figure out how to play with each other, and you're putting together all these components. Dwight Howard finally seems to be, you know, picking up the pace and being Dwight Howard. The last 4 games, he's averaging 25 and 16. So that's a team that's going to be a dangerous out. I still don't think they're as good as the Thunder, but that could be a really tough opening round draw for one of those top teams.
How far do you see them going in the playoffs?
I mean, it just depends on the matchup they get. If they're the 8th seed and they, like, say they draw San Antonio, that would be an interesting series. I could see the Lakers winning that. Now, if they get Oklahoma City, I think the Thunder are just a better team than the Lakers right now.
I think the Thunder are just way too athletic for the Lakers to handle.
Yeah, I mean, I got a chance to see them in person at Madison Square Garden last week, and Russell Westbrook just does things. He's the best athlete in the NBA. I mean, just unbelievable. His strength, his speed, his quickness, his jumping ability, his doggedness, you know, he hustles. He's just an unbelievable player. And then, of course, Kevin Durant's the best scorer in the game. So, and the Thunder can come at you in droves. I mean, they can bring in Kevin Martin off the bench, and he was, you know, an elite scorer on other teams for the Kings and other teams. And now you put him in as like a 6th man on this team. And they've got a defensive stopper in Cephalosha, and they've got some big men in Ibaka and Perkins. I mean, that's a team that's pretty deep, and they're just getting better. They're young, and they're good basketball players.
It seemed like when Dwight was traded to Orlando, everyone got a big exhale out of that. The Dwight mare's finally over, but it was still kind of going on in Los Angeles for a while. Do you think he returns to the Lakers next season?
I think it really depends a lot on how these last couple months go. It seems like Kobe and Dwight are figuring things out a little bit. I mean, I think Dwight Howard, as a proud man, as an NBA perennial all-star, chafed a little bit at Kobe basically telling him what's what and calling him out and publicly criticizing him. And, you know, Kobe views it as tough love. I'm not sure Dwight Howard saw it as that. And for a while there, I thought there's no way he's coming back to this. But, you know, you get a little winning streak going and get a little success, and you know how winning clears up a lot of problems.
Everything.
So it could happen. I mean, the great allure of the Lakers isn't just the organization, but it's Los Angeles, and Dwight Howard, you know, wants to be a multimedia superstar. That's the place to do it in.
We mentioned the Celtics earlier, how, you know, everyone knows they lost Rajon Rondo, but they've been playing very well, surprisingly, without Rondo. How far do you think they can make it in the playoffs without Rajon?
That's a tough one. I mean, first of all, I think that's a battle-tested team, veteran-led team, that if they went up, again, the playoffs is so much about matchups. Like, if they went up against Indiana, right now that's how they play out. They're the 6th seed, and Indiana's the 3, although that's New York and Indiana basically are tied. But, I mean, I could see them knocking off the Knicks. I could see them knocking off the Pacers or Brooklyn, which is right now in the 4 spot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's again, a tough team. And you talked about getting better without Rondo. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, people are scratching their heads trying to figure this whole thing out. One thing it does is it maybe makes you wonder a little bit about how valuable Rondo is. He's a great player, fills up a stat line, but why are they playing so much better without him? Maybe
Right.
other guys are feeling like they got to step up, but you would think a Paul Pierce and a Kevin Garnett are stepping up anyway, right?
Yeah.
Those guys are proven warriors out there. So
They passed on selling this season, but after showing how good they can play without Rondo, do you think they sell maybe in the future or even at all? Is that something they would consider down the road?
yeah, I mean, Danny Ainge, he's a freewheeler. He'll do anything. I mean, he'll surprise you.
Do you see a scenario where Paul Pierce wears colors other than green and white?
Well, there was a report last week that says the Celtics basically had a deal in place to move Pierce, and at the 11th hour, they decided against it for whatever. I don't know what the reasoning was, but it makes you believe that, listen, Danny Ainge knows he's got some really old pieces, some important pieces on his roster that are just getting very old in the NBA. And, sentiment has no part in professional basketball, professional sports. You have to go out and make moves that's going to secure your future. So I think pretty much everyone on that team is potential trade bait. Because you've got that combination of Ainge, who likes to wheel and deal, and you've got an aging team that needs to retool.
Melo's hurt right now. Amari's out for quite some time, and the Knicks have been slipping in the standings of late. Are they in trouble right now? They're only 1-8 in the postseason with Melo. Do you think there's any chance they get a first-round knockout once again?
Again, like I said, if they drop Boston, that could be a tough out. Atlanta's an athletic team, could be a tough out. I really think 2 through 8 in the East is a wash. Any of those teams could be. Brooklyn could beat.
They're 2-2 on the season series against the Knicks.
The Nets?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Milwaukee's a pretty tough team right now. They've got a lot of talent on that team. I mean, I'm looking down the standings. None of those teams stands out to me except the Miami Heat up there, number 1 with a bullet.
Quick, we got about 1 minute left to go. Who's your MVP on the season? There's only a month left, so you should have it pretty narrowed down. Who you got, LeBron or Durant?
I'm going to go with LeBron.
Yeah?
He, just because of his all-around game. For a while there, I was thinking Tony Parker. Tony Parker was playing unbelievable basketball, running the show in San Antonio, and they had the best record in the league. But just everything that LeBron does. He's a shutdown defender. He's a strong rebounder. He can score inside and out. Great distributor when he wants to be. I mean, he was the MVP last year, and he's having a better year than he had last year by a long stretch.
He's shooting his greatest shooting percentage in his career for a single season. He's rebounding at the best rate in his career. He's still an elite scorer, even though he's surrounded by players such as Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. It's really hard to argue against him. Yeah,
I mean, he's going to be one of those guys at the end of his career who's got 6 MVPs on his trophy case. 7, something like that. This is a man in full, Sean. This is the best player in the world, and he's playing at his peak now.
Not 4, not 5, not 6.
Exactly. He was referring to something else, but he'll take MVP trophies as well.
David, thank you very much for coming on.
Hey, great to be with you, Sean. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you very much. That wraps up sports here on the UNH Stable.